Hi, this is Kevin Trainer, and I'd like to welcome you to my demo on an alternate way to install RenderX XEP on the Windows platform. It's now a couple of days after I recorded the demo on how to install on Windows 7. And I've had reports from a couple of people who've had problems on Windows 8, problems on Windows 7. And So I've done a little experimentation, and I think I have a solution that will work for all the modern versions of Windows, provided that we have a little luck. Okay. And what we're really going to do is we're going to just give you a hint about how we're going to go about this, is we're not going to use the automated installer. Okay. We're going to use the Java portion of the installer, but we're not going to use the batch file that they gave us to execute to run the installer. And I think that's going to solve all of our problems. At least I hope it will. And so for those of you who are having some trouble, I invite you to take a chance. I thought the most, at least for me, the most alien of all these environments is Windows 8.1, which I only use at UWM in the lab. And I figured if I could make it work on here, I could make it work on just about anything. So if you'll follow along with me, we'll do that. So first of all, I'm going to log in. And I'm going to get the login page. And from that, I'm going to go to the desktop. So if you were following along on a Windows 7 installation, when you logged in, you'd probably just automatically be at the desktop. And I've installed Google Chrome because I don't like to work with Windows Explorer. And so I brought up Google Chrome. And what I'm looking to do, let me make this a little bigger. What I'm looking to do is to download the stuff that we downloaded the last time we tried this from D2L again. Okay, so I'm going to log in to D2L. And I'm going to go down and go to our course and click on content. And you'll recall that there were two files that we wanted to download. And if I download these, they're going to go to the downloads folder, which is a feature of these newer Windows versions. And that'll be just fine for me. So I downloaded the license file for XEP, which is an XML document, and I downloaded the PDF for how to install RenderX XEP, which is a PDF document. So I'm going to close my browser. And now I'm going to open a couple of copies of this file browser. And the first one I'm going to set to downloads. Okay. And the second one, I open a second one, File Explorer. I guess that's what it's actually called. And I'm going to have a second one. And let's make these a little bit smaller. And in my second one, I am going to create a folder for RenderX, where I can put all my RenderX stuff. Okay. This is the same approach that I took to all the installations that I did over the weekend. Okay, so what do I want? Well, I want the PDF that has the email instructions. I'll drag that over there. And I want my license file. All right. And just as I've done in the rest of the demos of this sort, here, let me get rid of the extra window that I have. I double click on my license file and open it with Oxygen. And you'll see that it's a plain old XML file. It's an XML document. And here we go. Now, it's just as long as I'm here, I'm going to go to Options, Preferences, Fonts, and I'm going to go a little bit bigger. So I'm going to choose, I want a mono-spaced 16-point bold. Okay, and then yeah, I think that's going to take care of it right there. Is it? Let's see. That looks pretty good. Monospace 16-point bold. And if I close these windows over on the right side, I think we'll be able to see the document quite well there. All right, so that is the XML document that makes up the license. We'll close that. All right, so now we want to go to the RenderX Rebs website and download the software. And this will be pretty easy. Sorry, double click. And we're going to open up the new browsing application for PDFs that they have in Windows 8. And I'm just going to click on the first link, which takes me to the software updates page, which, if you will recall, if you've seen the other video, even though it says updates, it's appropriate for first-time installations as well. And we're going to go to the box for update current software. And again, I want to emphasize, even if this is your first installation, this is the right place to be. Click on Choose File. And now we want to go find the license document that we just put it into the RenderX folder, and we'll point to it and say open. And now we see it's pointed at license XML, and we'll just click on update, which is a little bit of a misnomer for us since we're not really updating. We are installing for the first time. And we have it all down. I'm going to click on this, and instead of saying I want to discard it, I say I want to keep it. Okay? All right, and I'm just going to close the browser because I have everything I want from the browser for right now. And here's my RenderX folder, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring the zip file that I just downloaded over there. So let's open up another File Explorer again and go to Downloads. And you'll see here is the XEP product right here, and we'll pull the zip file right in there. Okay, that's good. Now let's make this a little bigger. Now in Windows 8.1, the way that you expand a zip file is you right click and you say extract all. It may be a little bit different on other modern versions of Windows, but it's something close to that. So we do that, and it's going to extract it essentially in place, which is fine by me. And and then it opens the folder. So it created a folder of this name, the same as the zip file, and it opened it. Okay? And you can see that it has some interesting things, including a setup file that's a Windows batch. And what I had you doing before is running that. And that's where at least 3 people have already reported they got stuck. So that's not what we're going to do anymore. Okay? Now, you can already see that the last of the files here is a jar file. And even though I didn't explicitly say it in this video, what I've said in the other video was that at this point, by this point, you should have already installed some modern version of Java from Oracle. Okay, and because we have already installed the most recent version of it, version 8 build 45, you can already see that I've got the proper icon for a Java jar file. Okay, so if you haven't already installed Java, this is a good point to pause, because you probably don't see the proper icon for the jar file. This is a good point to pause and then go to java.oracle.com and download the most recent version of Java SE and install it on your Windows machine. And then we'll come out of the pause. So everybody's got Java now. So everybody should be able to look at this directory and see the proper icon for the jar file. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to run this jar file. It's an executable jar file, and we're going to have to run it from the command line. Okay, so there are probably about 3 skills here. One is finding your command line window. Okay. 2 is navigating to the directory that has the jar file in it, which is the directory we're looking at right now. And the 3rd one is actually typing in the right things to execute the jar file and get the right results. Okay, so I'm going to shrink this. Before I do, notice that the name of the directory is the same as the name of the zip file, but it doesn't have .zip on it. Okay, so I'm going to shrink that one and maybe close this one. And so the question is, how do you get to a command line window? Well, in Windows 7, you would go down to the Start button and you would find your way to Accessories, and you'd expand the folder for Accessories, and then there is an icon there. One of the lines is for Command Prompt. Okay? Now here in Windows 8, we don't actually do that. We go back to this main window here, and we do a Windows 8 search, where we just start to type without positioning the cursor in any particular place. We start to type command, and it finds command prompt. Let's say command prompt. That's probably because I already typed it in that it said command prompt. And what came up to the top of the list but command prompt? And then here is the actual program. So I want to click on the program, and it starts it up. Okay, so that's how you start up a command prompt window in Windows 8.1. So now what we need to do is we need to navigate to the right part of the directory tree structure. So if you want to see what's in your current directory, you type dir. Okay, and we see that we're in C users Kevin Trainer. You would be in C users, whatever the name of your user is. And I can see the directories, and one of them is called Documents. Now, one of the nice things about the Windows operating system is that it's not sensitive to capitalization in the names of its files. So if I want to change the directory to Documents with a capital D, I can say, type in CD space, and then just type in Documents, not worry about the capitalization. And you can see from the prompt that I am in the Documents directory now. To see what's in the directory, I do a dir. Okay, and I see that one of the directories in here is RenderX. That's where I want to go. So I'm going to say cd space RenderX, and then dir again for directory. And I can see that I've got a subdirectory that's the same name as a zip file. And I don't have a good way to not have to type that in. So I'm just going to say cd space XEP hyphen 4.24.395 hyphen 2015 hyphen 02 hyphen 18. And you can see from the prompt that I got to that directory. And if I type in a dir, enter, I get what's there. So now that I'm in the directory, it's really easy to execute the jar file. I start off with the word Java, type in Java space, hyphen jar, Jar, say I want to run a jar, space. Now I have to type in the name of that jar file, including the dot and the extension. So setup hyphen 4.24.395 hyphen 2015 hyphen 02 hyphen 18 dot jar, and then enter. And what happens is it runs the Java jar, which is the Java part of the installation. Okay. Now you would think that everything would be easy here, but when I did my testing, I ran into a couple of problems. I found that if we put it where the installation program wants to put it, which is in the C program files, we get into problems with permissions when we go to run it. Okay, so what we're going to do instead of that is, instead of putting it in C program files RenderX, we're going to go out and get rid of most of the path here. So when we're done, it's going to put it in the C drive directly into a directory called XEP. Now, how does that help us? Well, because it's just an ordinary mom and pop directory and not the special one that is called program files, it just gets normal permissions associated with it. So if we install the product there, everything's going to run just fine. Okay, so put it in C:/XEP/, and when I say slash in Windows, I mean backslash. Okay, you don't have to check this thing to download the GNU free font. The license file, I don't think is really pointed at where we have the license file, which is in the RenderX directory. So let's browse. Oh, there it is. I'm in Documents. Then I want to go to the RenderX directory. Then I want to highlight license.xml and click on open. Now I look like I'm in the right spot. So I've got the settings just right here. So if I click on install, it should install the product in the right spot. Let's do it. Well, it says it installed XEP and not the free font package, which I didn't really particularly want anyway. Now I can finish. Okay, that's good. And I don't have to do anything else at the command line. So that's good too. All right. So if you want to see where what you just installed is, we can open up the File Explorer and we can open up local disk C, and we can see that we have in the directories there, we have a directory called XEP that has all the XEP stuff now, okay? And we didn't put it where it wanted to put it because we wanted to put it somewhere where we didn't have any permissions issues. Okay, great. Let's close that File Explorer. And now let's open up Oxygen. Double click on Oxygen here. It takes a little bit to heat up. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to close the splash screen. And I've got a bunch of things here that are interesting, but I want to start with no files open. So I'm just going to go up to the menu for Oxygen and click on File, and then go to the bottom of the list and say Close All. So it closed everything. All right. All right. Now, action 1 is to hook up the XEPFO processor. How do you do that? Well, with a preference, go to the menu, click on Options, click on Preferences. And you may recall, if you tried the other video, you need to come down through Format, Content Completion, Colors, Templates, XML, XML Parser, XSL-FO, XQuery, and we have down under XQuery, down towards the bottom, we have this thing that says FO processors. Now, why this is sort of under XQuery is beyond me. Okay, maybe I don't understand the hierarchy of this whole thing, but this is an odd place to put this. But you want the thing called FO processors. Okay, we want to add another external FO processor, but not just an ordinary one. We want to do the XEP one. So we just say add XEP FO processor, click on Browse, and now we have to go find it. Well, where did we put it? Well, we put it on the C drive. So go to local disk C, then the directory is XEP. Okay. Now, something that's a little worrisome, was a little bit worrisome to me, is that we pointed at a file that's called XEP, and that's a batch file. Okay. Now, that is a batch file that runs the Java program that is the XEP processor. Okay, this is not the same batch file that we took a pass on earlier in the demo that had offered to install the whole product for us. Okay, it is a batch file that runs the XEP Java program. So this is the last one on the list. We highlight it and we say open. And then we have our FO processor, and we can say, okay, let's apply that. We probably could have just said, okay, okay. All right. So now we should be able to set up a transformation that works with the XEPFO processor. So where do we want to go? Well, let's just open a file. Okay. And it looks like we're looking at the XEP directory, and there's a great example in there. Now, we don't have to worry about having to move the examples because we already have them out of the program files directory. So you don't have a problem with permissions anymore. So we can just leave examples right here and open it. And let's go to our friend Hammer. And let's open both Hammer, the XML document, and Hammer, the XSL file. And you can actually highlight them both. Okay, and then just click on Open, and it'll open them both. And I'm going to close the window at the right just so we have some more room. So let's look. Hammer.xml has a lot of content regarding the hammer. And Hammer.xsl is a transformation that builds an FO document. Okay. All right, that looks good. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to point to the XML document and then say we want to transform it with the XSL. So get on the XML, come over here to the rightmost monkey wrench. Okay. And then let's, I already have a transformation scenario here because I tested this once already, but let's create a new one. All right. And this one's going to be called Hammer. All right. And which XML file? Well, the current one, the one that we're on. Which XSLT? Well, let's open the folder. And there's one called hammer.xsl. That's good. Open that. And as you can see, it has a full file path here. And again, since these things are in the same directory, this transformation scenario is going to be more portable if we just get rid of everything but the file name in the extension. Okay, hammer.xsl. What's the next thing we do? We upgrade the transformation engine. Okay. Now we need to pick an FO processor. So check the box, perform FO processing. Now, if we did this right, we should be able to pick the XEP processor, and there it is in the drop-down. That worked well. And now we have to do something with the output. So we want to save as, and let's use the editor variable current file name .pdf. All right. And then let's check the box that says we want to open it in the system application. All right, say OK. Now let's apply associated. And it's transforming. And look at that. There is our PDF. So we have got a PDF created by XEP. And even though we tried to do it on Windows, we were still able to do it because we skipped the automated portion of the install, and we did it a little more manually. We actually did it according to the directions for how you install it on the Mac, where they don't have a handy batch file for you. And it worked. All right. So that's it. You have it installed. So I'm hoping that this is going to work for you as well as it worked for me. It should work on Windows 7. It should work on Windows 8 and Windows 8.1. I don't know about the early release of Windows 10, but I don't know any reason why it wouldn't work on that, apart from the fact that it's probably pretty darn buggy. It's probably a pretty darn buggy operating system. But I hope this solves your problems, and I'll see y'all again soon. Bye-bye.